Afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of NRL Supercoach Off the Bench TLT podcast. Round 14 is here. The tricky mini buy round 14 is here. And I think it's going to catch a lot of people out, to be honest with you. Today, to go with me to dissect it through, we've got a Timmy. Welcome, Timmy.
Good afternoon, champion. It's always interesting doing these podcasts straight after work. No beer in hand. I'm still on the water, and to be honest, I'm still in a classroom. So yeah, let's fire in. The news is going to be coming thick and fast. Who's in, who's out, and let's see how many teams it just stuffs completely.
Just quickly, just a shout out to our top three in our overall off the bench league. We've got Latham, the coach of Moses, sitting in 12th overall. Ben, the coach of Short Five, priced Fave in 18th. And Adam from the Big 12X at 31st. So we have got about 7 in the top 100, which is great work, guys. So there was some massive scores there last week as well. So well done to those who did score well. On that note, we'll get stuck into it. Game.
I was just going to say, well, while we're talking leagues, I'll throw out really quickly. Tristan from, off the bench seated 3. Tristan from Lime Milk, the coach of Lime Milk. Needless to say, he's one of the 6 Raiders supporters in Australia. So, good luck. No, Tristan's doing well. He's currently smashing. He's on 22 points as far as our head-to-head league goes. Johnny from Goodnight Gamalite in second, very closely followed by a young lady, Karen, special case. So, they're killing off the bench 3 at the moment.
I'm in a league with Karen. So, yeah, she's a tragic Rooster supporter, is Karen. So, yeah.
Unlucky Karen.
All right, first game of the round. Oh, God, what a bludger of a game to start the round with. We've got the Dragons and the Tigers. For the Dragons, they've named 1 to 17, but they have got Ben Hunt, Jaden Sewer, and Lomax named on the extended bench. For the Tigers, Justin Olam comes back from suspension. Charlie Staines is on the wing. Alex Lobbs comes in for his second game of the season. David Clemens out suspended. Alex 12 starts at prop. Isaiah Papali is out, so Alex Seafaf comes in the starting side, and Justin Matamua will lock the scrum. Spud Naden has been named on the bench. God Jesus, I hope he doesn't stay there. Cook Islands representative Ruben Porter makes his NRL debut off the bench. I don't think there's much to talk about this game, Tim. Let's be honest. Anything you want to discuss?
I've had Lomax for a fair while, and this was the run of games that I was sort of holding out for. Really hoping. Well, no, depends. Did he get named at all? Is he named on an extended bench with Origin?
Who's that?
Lomax.
Yeah, all their Origin players have been named on the extended bench.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So I'm really hoping that I've held on, and I'm really hoping that he does actually get named in the 17 in the end. Jack DeBellin was really popular last week. Lots of people brought him in as an alternative to guys like Ruben Cotter, like myself, and then also what's his name from the Canberra Raiders, Big Joey. So yeah, he's it's going to be an interesting one. I think Lomax owners had some mixed feelings last week. I think they were really hoping for a big score from not Lomax, sorry, Jack DeBellin. They were really hoping for a big score from him last week. For myself personally, the only one I've got is Lomax, but I did bring in as a bit of a pod play from Ruben Cotter last week. I actually went to Fainu from the Tigers, so I'm hoping he gets big minutes this week and plays 80 and knocks out something better than the 30s that he was a few weeks ago.
Well, this is the thing. He's been knocking out 30s and playing 80, so. See how we go. I'm a Jack DeBellin owner, a very happy one. I bought him in about 3 weeks ago for Morgan Smithies, and he's certainly repaid me, mate. I'm very happy with that trade. Stefano might be another one to look at for those who are planning for round 19 like I am. I do urge, and we said this on the pod the other day, if you are playing overall, start looking at round 19, because if you have not now, I'll guarantee you'll be very surprised with how many players that you have. I think I've got 6 or 7 at the moment, so I'll slowly bring 1 or 2 here and there. But the sides that are playing that round, aren't any of the big teams, Timmy. You've got teams like Newcastle, Parramatta, South, who probably are starting to become relevant. But I think, again, we'll talk about them when we get to the game because there's a few ones here I want to talk about. So I don't think there's anything else to talk about. We'll move on to the next game. Titans versus South is the next game. Jaden Campbell's been named amongst the reserves. Kieran Foran returns at 5'8". Philip Sammy and JJ Fafita return to the back line. Waker's been named to start at prop. See if he backs up. Firmo goes back to the edge. Palacea reverts back to the bench and Joe Simpson drops to 18th man. For South, they get Cody Walker back, which is a boost for them. He'll partner Jack Whiten in the halves. Richie Canner comes back from injury and Michael Cheekham goes back to the back row. Now, there's a bit to talk about this one, Timmy, because both these teams play round 19. And there is some options here. Obviously, Fafita being one of them. I think Colin Matungi's another one. Latrell's another one. All I'm going to say to those who are looking to bring players in from these two teams in particular, wait for the result for tomorrow night, because I can tell you now, if, say, for example, New South Wales lose, there's a good chance that Latrell could come in. There's a chance Colin Matungi could come in. Queensland lose, or there's an injury to that back line, there's a chance Fafita comes in. So just keep that in mind when you guys are doing your trades as well, you know, especially for those who are planning for overall. Jack Whiten's another interesting one in this game too. I think Tim as well. Bo Firma's been killing it as well. I've owned him and sold him previously. I don't know if I can bring him back in, but other than Fafita, who else do you like?
Yeah, look, the hard part is with Firma. He's actually not that far out of the origin mix, is my understanding, for Queensland. So just be careful, because if there is some crazy injuries or something like that, then there's a chance that he could end up pinching a spot in there. Yeah, look, I'm looking at Fafita this week. Probably going Angus straight to Fafita, and I think it's pretty similar cash. There might be 20 or 30K difference or something like that. So that's one of my trades this week, as long as all goes to plan. Yeah, it really is going to depend on tomorrow night, because like you said, if Queensland lose or we lose a couple of second row forwards, I think Dave Fafita's straight in there. Even if it's a close game, look, I know we've said it on the podcast since the teams were named, I personally can't understand why he's not there. I know Billy said there's some sort of laziness issues was the underlining reasons as to why he's not there, but yeah, we'll wait and see. As for South, yeah, look, I actually agree with you with the Jack Whiten call. I don't think that would be a bad one. I think South have to start hitting form. If they're going to win games, if they want to play finals, they really have to start to pull the finger out of the backside and start kicking on now. So you're looking at guys like AJ, you're looking at Trell, Whiten, Kalamatangi, if he doesn't get named again. So yeah, there's a few options there for you.
Damien Cook's another interesting one too.
Another one.
He did score well that last game against Parramatta. There's a lot of these guys that might be a watch for, say, that round 19 bye in particular. You know, especially with now that Joey Lussick not being named again, which we'll get to shortly. So a lot of people will be looking to sell him. I know I am. I'm looking to offload Lussick now. I'll probably sell him this week. He could be another option too. But yeah, again, Latrell's another one I really like too. But the other one, Timmy, that is a massive Uber pod that I don't mind too is Keno Kinney if you're looking for a fullback.
Sorry, who was that? You cut it.
Keno Kinney.
Yeah. Yeah,
it
would be a pod play, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Would be a pod play.
Brian Kelly's another one. Been scoring well, but very expensive now too. Mm-hmm. All right. Anyone else before we move on to the next game?
No, I think that's about it, mate.
All right, Cowboys versus the Warriors. So for the Cowboys, Peyton's played his bloody silly buggers like he did last year. He's named all his Origin players on extended bench. So not one of them have been named in the original squad. C&K returns from illness. Wade Egan's back. Rocco Berry's back. Aiden Fanula's back. Kurt Capewell's back. Teo Harris is back. Tafua, Ed Kossi drop out. Roach drops out. Laban drops out. Lussick as well. Afoa drops out, and Dylan Walker shifts to the bench. Still no SJ. Good news for those, Timmy, who were a bit concerned, who own TMM, who had a break even of -44.
Yeah, look, I'm really stoked for that. I've got TMM as my 5/8 for our draft, off the bench draft. So look, I've had him in there for a while actually, and he's just been ticking along, not doing anything amazing, but I haven't had 10-point scores from him, so I can't be too dishappy.
I just want to say quickly, I don't mind a bit of a punt, Timmy. I know you're not really a punter, but I am. But looking at this side that the Cowboys have rolled out and the team, and I know that they did knock off the Roosters last week. Don't get me wrong, and it is at home. But Warriors have got some big ins, and they're $2.50 at the moment, and the Cowboys are $1.50. I think there's a bit of value
Yeah,
there.
yeah, absolutely. I could see that one.
Yeah. Now, is there anyone that you like from either of these teams as a buyer? I know you were toying up the idea of Barnett, which obviously was a bit of a risk one with him named in the Origin squad. Again, he's another one who could come in if they get an injury. Jackson Ford's dropping price nicely as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you'd be looking for guys from that forward pack, especially while AFB is a bit of an unknown commodity at the moment. So yeah, I'd be looking at guys like Jackson Ford. I would, and it was actually nearly brought him in about a month or so ago. So he'd be one I'd definitely be keeping an eye on. Mitch Barnett, I nearly went clotted to Barnett last week and just didn't. What was it? I think I was about 10K short or something like that of trying to make some trades work that way. So look, they're two that I'd be really keen on. Tuapiki, there's a bit of a pod play from fullback.
He's not playing. He's not fullback.
You could go worse there.
He's not fullback. CNK's back.
Righto. I missed that bit. Sorry, mate.
So CNK is fullback. Harris Tavita's in the halves with T. Murray Martin.
Yeah, righto.
Yeah. I don't think there's anyone else interesting. They've got Sam McIntyre playing lock. I'm in hooker. That's an interesting one. I'm not sure what's going on there, but they did have another one there last week, but he's not there now, so that's interesting.
Speaking of hooker and this game in particular, I'm probably going to be I will automatically be taking an AE this week, as I've got JMK and Robbo as my two hookers. I've gone double gun hooker for basically since the start of the season, just about. So yeah, it's I've got no hooker this week, but I will be taking an AE, and at this stage, yeah, it'll be whoever I trade in, which will be most likely Gus to Fafita.
Are you going to have 17 though?
No, I've got 17. Well, he will be my 17th. I've got 17 right now.
So you don't have Nanai or Holmes in your team, do you?
Nope.
Okay.
And this was all part of the planning with Origin teams. I tried really hard to stay away from Origin players this year. So at the moment, the only Origin players I've got are Lomax, Hines, Angus.
Gus.
Yeah.
And you got Gus as
Lomax,
well. Yeah.
Lomax, Hines. Yeah, Lomax, Hines, and Angus. That's it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right, next game.
Sorry, and Robson. Yep. Sorry, and Robson.
Yeah. I think you've got 4 and I've got about the same. So, yeah, interesting. Next game, Timmy, your Broncos versus the Sharks at Suncorp on Saturday night. Reece Walsh has been named. Looking at what else here. They've all been named to back up, but they have got blokes like Tristan Saylor, Fletcher Baker, Capel on the extended bench. Tony Staggs come back from a rib injury, so he's very popular cheapie. A lot of people are going to be reversing their trades. Josiah Capani drops out to the reserves. Sharks have rested Nico Hines, so Atkinson and Trindle will be in the halves. McInnes has been named to back up. So Jack Williams goes back to the bench. Teague Williams out with a shoulder problem. Talakai will start on the edge. Tapil comes in on the bench. The Broncos going full strength with this game. I can't see this being anything else than 13 plus, Tim. I didn't like what I saw from the Sharks last week. They were absolutely terrible.
Yeah, look, I agree, mate. I think as a bit of a sneaky pod play, if he could hold his spot, Talakai might be worth a shout. I don't know what he's valued at these days, but he's been coming off the bench for ages. And yeah, I don't know if he can get back to 80 minutes and can. I know Nickera and Wilton are their sort of set and forget second rowers,
Yeah.
but depending on how long Teague Wilton's out for, yeah, I think he could do worse than go and see for Talakai.
The NRL physio report, which I posted earlier, had him out for a week, but shoulder problems could be anything from a week to 5 weeks, they're saying. So I think it's a bit of a risk to go Talakai, but mate, for those who've got drafts, those that are listening that have drafts, I would be having a look at Talakai seriously if he's there. Grab him if you can from the waivers for sure. Anyone else from this game, Tim? I think we both agree that Hines is a sell, yeah? I mean, I don't own him, but I think given he's rested this game, he'll miss 16 and he'll miss 19, possibly doesn't back up, maybe 17 or 20. He's definitely a sell, yeah?
Yeah, look, I think we talked about it in our chat group last week. I am a Hines owner. I think Brad's a Hines owner as well. We had a bit of a chat off air about it, and we basically crunched the numbers and said he's likely to play was 2 of the next 6 or 3 of the next 6 or something along those lines. So, yeah, look, I will be selling this week and probably over to Jerome Hughes at this stage.
The other thing too is that even if he does play a couple of those games before round 20, he's gonna offload a ton of cash. I think they've got him projected next game he plays to lose over 100K too. So he could be a good pickup for round 20 if he comes back from fit and firing after Origin.
I've got to double check, which I can do right now, but I think his BE was like 190 or something. Yeah, 193.
Projected to lose like 150K or something.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So,
Right, next game is the Storm versus the Knights. For the Storm, Harry Grant and Xavier Coates have been named to back up this stage. Will Warbrick's out with a groin injury. Grant Anderson moves on from there from the bench to the wing. Bronson Garlick comes on to the bench. Adam O'Brien has not made any changes despite their terrible game last week against the Dogs. Now, there's a couple of ones here that interest me, Tim. Couple in particular. One is actually Dylan Lucas is one of them, and Dane Gagai is starting to drop cash a lot and looks like it could be an option too. But I just don't know if I could maybe bring anyone in for the Knights this game against the Storm in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's always a tough one, Storm against Melbourne, and they're generally not affected too much by Origin in that a lot of their players are Kiwis, to be brutally honest. So yeah, look, the Storm should be getting towards full strength or close to it. So yeah, look, this will be a tough game. I agree with you. I do like Dylan Lucas, and Dane Gagai is always a really good pod, especially this time of year. He's, I mean, traditionally he'd be going off to Origin duties with Queensland, and generally comes all guns blazing out of the blocks, firing afterwards. But yeah, he obviously got overlooked last year, and Billy explained why 12 months ago. Look, I think he's a great super coach player, and you could certainly do a lot worse than picking him up. Again, would be a great draft player as well, I think, to take you through from now over the next 6 weeks.
And the other one, obviously, is Elise Katoa, very popular again this week. I think for those who have Fafita or are looking for a different option, I think going Gus to Katoa is probably the best play, in my opinion.
Yeah, I brought in Elliot about a month ago and been pretty happy ever since. So it's going to be pretty keen to have my front row of Fafita, Katoa, and I brought in a pod a couple of weeks ago of Scotty Sorensen, and he looked good on the weekend. So I'm pretty happy to have him there.
Yeah. All right. The only Sunday game this week due to the long weekend is the Panthers versus Manly. Obviously, no Dylan Edwards after he's been withdrawn from Origin. Dane Laurie will play fullback again. Brad Snyder's dropped
Hang
out
on,
of the...
did you just say long weekend? Have you guys got a long weekend down there?
You do too, don't you? It's a bloody King's birthday long weekend.
I think we do it at a different time. I don't know.
You sure?
No idea. It'd be great.
That's
Get
the
another
King's
day off
birthday
school.
or
That'd
the
be
Queen's
fantastic.
birthday or whatever it is, mate. Seriously. Oh my God.
That,
So Jerome Luai's been named. Brad Schneider has lost his place in the side. So Jack Cole will partner Luai. Luke Garner returns from injury on the bench. Moses Leota's been named despite hamstring injury against the Dragons, so that's one to keep an eye on for sure. For Manly, interesting. Hopewadi keeps that fullback spot. Koala will play in this on the centres. Talau moving to the wing, and Vega drops out. Jake Simpkins, who's just signed from the Tigers, has been named in the reserves. That's interesting, Tim. I've got to say, Hopewadi looked pretty good on debut there for Manly, but I'm really surprised that they haven't got Cooler at fullback. That's a big one for those who traded him in like 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, thinking he had that fullback spot sewn.
yeah, look, he basically got it from Magic Round onwards, wasn't it? I remember when he dropped Jock Madden's bomb right in front
No,
of
well, he
us,
didn't.
and
Yeah, yeah. It was a week after Magic Round. He got injured Magic Round game, and then didn't play after that, and then they had a bye. And
yeah, yeah,
now he's
yeah.
been
So
shifted to centres. That hurts.
I think Hopewadi's been an absolute gun in New South Wales Cup over the last couple of months, is my understanding. So maybe they're trying to look towards the future. Be interesting to see if they push him, or is it just him trying to get some game time between now and whenever Turbo comes back eventually one day. It won't matter. He'll only play 6 games and he'll be out again. So maybe they are looking towards the future there for Manly.
Yeah, there's not really as much to talk about this game. Obviously, Hopewadi's one to keep an eye on as a cheap option. If you are looking for a fullback in a couple of weeks, there's a couple of players that are going to be juicy prices soon, Tim. One is Isaac Targo. He's dead set dropping a mountain of cash. And the other one who looks really good that could be an option too is Paul Alamonte too.
Yeah, look, I like the Paul Alamotti one. The hard part is, mate, look, I had May right throughout the first half of the season. I think I only dumped him about a month ago. And look, I don't know, it's really hard with those Panthers backs. They just have not been scoring consistently. None of them have been banging the door down with tons. It seems to be one will score well this week and someone different will score next week. So, look, they haven't been the scoring juggernauts for Supercoach that they have been in the past. So, yeah, look, I would want to see some of those guys absolutely killing it as far as the points go first before I try and bring some in.
Also, Manly have named all their Origin players to start. So Cherry Evans, Ola Kawatu, and Jake Trebojevic. The teams that have got players in Origin have been allowed extended benches. So there is quite a few there. There's a 23-man bench, or should I say 23 named? I shouldn't say not 23-man bench. So keep an eye out for that as well. Last game is the King's birthday / Queen's birthday / whatever the hell you want to call it now. Game on Monday night, Monday Arvo, 4 p.m. It's the Dogs versus the Eels. As soon as I saw the teams come out, Timmy, the first thing I did was go straight to this game. Didn't give a crap about any other to see with Simonson out whether Blaze Talangi was named and has been named in the centres. That's fantastic news. So Sean Russell moves to the wing. Hopgood's been named to play. Matto is included on the extended bench. For the Dogs, Stephen Crichton's been named. Matt Burton's been named. Toby Sexton is named at halfback. Andrew Hutchinson is interestingly been dropped to the reserves. Hopai, or however you pronounce it, will play his second game off the bench after an impressive game off the bench last week. Timmy, you're a Blaze Talangi owner.
Yeah, mate, I am. I was pretty cranky that he didn't play last week, but I had 13 anyway. Well, I had 14 actually, but yeah, he was one that we all sort of banked on. It looked like he was safe as houses to get a gig last week and just on the bench and didn't get the minutes.
Yeah, I'm just very happy that he's been named. I've got to say that. I know a lot of people sold him last week too, which I don't know why, because he's got cash to be made. He's got to break even at -21. So he only had to take the field for one more game, or even take the field for that game for 5 minutes, and he would have made cash. So I'm really happy. Like, he'll hopefully he can get up to around 600K because he's about 550 now. And I'll fight him to a gun after Origin if he holds his spot for a bit longer, continues to kill it.
The other one that's interesting in this,
yep.
sorry, the other one that's interesting is Karaz named back on the wing.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, obviously if Stephen Crichton doesn't come out of Origin too well, then maybe they move Karaz back to the centres. So that will be a bit of a watch. Also, the amazing Sam Hughes with his massive 15 points that he scored last week for Supercoach despite starting is actually named in the front row again. So he's going to turn into a bit of an AE nightmare, I think, Sammy, unless he gets some minutes. But oh my lordy, he's just not helping us at all, is he?
I'm actually quite confident that he will get some more minutes this week. I think because the game was in the bag. They had a guy on the bench who was making his debut who got 38 minutes. I'd say, Tim, that they just probably wanted to rotate the minutes around. I'm not saying he's going to get massive minutes, but I think he should at least get 20, 25 this week, which will be better than nothing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as you said with Karaz, that's great that he's back on the wing. I'm an owner. Obviously, with Adokar out 10 to 12 weeks or whatever it is, that's definitely good for him. He's also on the other wing, which I actually prefer outside Bronson Cherry. Because as we know, Stephen Crichton doesn't really like to pass the ball. So I actually don't mind him on that wing as well. So Matty Burton's been killing it as well. Reid Marnie was a good trading for those who jumped on him last week. I know one of our listeners, Dave, our illustrious off the bench bloke, did bring him in last week. Put out a 76. Jacob Preston was outstanding too. Another one that I spoke up in my write up, as a trade in and didn't get on. But Tim, there's two more I want to mention just quickly from Parramatta, actually three. Brendan Hands, if he holds that starting spot and plays 80, he put out a 65 last week, bottom basement price at 209. I think you could do a lot worse than going Joey Lussick to him and banking potentially about 150K.
Yeah, look, I agree, mate. It's the hardest part is just going to be though, does he keep his spot? If there's an error game, does Lussick just come back in? Yeah, I don't know. It's a too hard basket. Like I said, I'm running essentially with no hookers this week, and I'm not in a hurry to make a train.
I think they looked a lot better with Hands running the ship at dummy half last week, so. I just find him a lot better player. I've never really been a big fan of Joey Lussick's. The other next one I want to speak about, Timmy, Kelma Tuolangi. He had an impressive game on the weekend, put out about a 70 odd. They had been using him through the middle off the bench previously, which wasn't working for him. Looked a lot better off the on the edge, and Bryce Cartwright as well, who's also been named to start. He put out about an 80 last week as well, started on an edge and then moved into the middle, I believe, when Sean Lane came on. I think you'd do a lot worse than looking at one of those two as an option as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know the upside of Cardi. Be interesting to see if we can have a Cardi party over the next 6 weeks while Origin's on. But yeah, look, he's I wouldn't even say he's rocks or diamonds. I think he's past the rocks part. He's just an average game for Cardi's going to be a 45 to 55, and anything better than that is a bit of a bonus. So yeah, look, I like both. Interesting. It will be interesting to see how many minutes Jermaine Hopgood gets during Origin. So I'd be watching that space.
Yep. All right, well, that's all the games covered off for this week, Timmy. Big thank you to our sponsors, Blueback, once again for jumping on board. Muchly appreciated. I don't know what trades I'm doing yet this week. I still need to sit down and have a look and see what's going on. We did discuss it the other night. On that note, we're all done. Thank you, Timmy, for jumping on, and go the Mighty Blues tomorrow night. Let's go, boys. Let's get the win, eh?
Oh,
we'll be there. Let's go.
I'm sure there'll be some videos posted online, depending on which team wins. So
yes.
Go the Maroons.
Boo. All right, thanks everyone. Good luck. Enjoy the Origin and have a great round. And we'll see you on Tuesday night. Sorry, Tuesday night podcast.
Monday, Tuesday.
Because of the long weekend. So no podcast
Awesome.
Sunday night. Until then.
Awesome. Thanks, viewers.
Bye.
Stay safe. Be good.